Lori Cochran grew up in Roanoke, Virginia, a city with the oldest continually operating farmers market in the country. Her family helped found a food cooperative. She chaired the Jackson Hole Farmers Market Board of Directors. And with that background and a background in corporate marketing, it's no surprise that she is the longtime executive director of the Westport Farmers Market, ranked #1 in Connecticut. She's very active in food advocacy issues beyond the market, too. So, Lori, welcome to 06880, the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. So, Westport, we pat ourselves on the back for a lot of things, and that includes the farmers market, but it seems like Roanoke was way ahead of us.
Well, in some ways, yes. The Roanoke Farmers Market that it's speaking about there kind of has shifted out of what I would deem as a traditional farmers market. It is a permanent structured market. And the reason it has that proclamation is because most of the facilities that were built, say in Charleston and other places that were permanent structures, were built to sell slaves at the beginning of it. So it was not; they were not originally meant for farmers markets. Now they would
slave markets.
They would have had. It would have been all types of commerce, not just slaves. So you would have come to, very sadly, but very honestly, and then this is the same for the North. This is not just in the South. So the same in Massachusetts and on the water. But they would be. You would get all your commerce from whatever type of meats, humans, produce, dairy, which is, thank goodness we're no longer there.
Wow.
In that point. So that is why Roanoke can claim that, because it's never been used for anything but a traditional farmer's market. And as things have changed, it has become a little bit more of a craft fair, but I have to give credit to my brother who moved back to Roanoke, and he started an organization called LEAP. And through that organization, they have started traditional farmers markets like what you will see over in the Imperial Lot or at Gilberti's that are really focused on farming, agriculture, and local food vendors.
And then Jackson Hole.
Roanoke
to Wyoming.
Well, I needed a break. Got out of school and decided I needed a little break. That break turned into 17 years, a husband, and some kids. And then Connecticut. But
I love people's backstories. So what got you to Connecticut?
Well, my husband was taken out of civilian life and sent to Iraq. He is a logistics specialist, and so we got home one day, and there was this big stack of papers sitting at the front door, and about 5 months later, he left for Iraq for 18 months, and I'm the stepmom of our children, and their mom brought them to Connecticut, where her family was, and when we came back, she had decided our eldest son has cerebral palsy, and we all kind of made a decision that this place was a really great place to raise him and that he would be able to be mainstream here. And so as a collective, we decided as a family to come here. And it's been a really great decision, to tell you the truth. Which everybody I say that to, they're like, what? You came from Jackson to here and you say that? And I could go on and on about how great I think it is here.
Give us a couple of...
Well, I mean, you, but I do adore you, as you know. I just think, truthfully, like, this place is cool. It's the winter, so let's talk about the winter. I could get up this morning, and I've done this. I can go skiing with friends in Vermont. I can come home, take a quick shower, and still make it to New York City for dinner to meet other friends. Or I could be here, and I could get on the river and paddle. I could be at the beach during the day, and then I could go out for a nice dinner. I can go shopping, or I can be in the woods all day. Like, there's everything. I mean, it's at your fingertips. And I have always kind of come from the mind of thought that if you believe it's good, it's going to be good. Like, find the good. Don't focus on the bad, just find the good.
So you believe in the farmers market. And did you one day wake up and say, I'm going to run the Westport Farmers Market?
No, I didn't. We actually moved here, and as you mentioned, I came from a corporate marketing background. I was a marketing director for an international conservation development firm. A little bit of an oxymoron, but they kind of do a good job. And so I came from the development industry, and I got a consulting gig here in Connecticut. I was taking the train. First time I'd ever done it. And I thought, oh, I'm going to meet all these people on the train. I'm going to go to this office. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to meet all these people. Well, no one spoke to me on the train. They thought I was crazy. No one left the building that I was in where I was consulting all day long. It was, and I was kind of falling apart. I would come home and I'd get off the train and I'd go to Mario's. And I would go in there, and I wasn't a martini person before this, but I would just have their, I think it was the buy one, get one free martinis. And my husband said after about 2 weeks, was like, who are you right now? This is so, because he would come pick me up and be like, I don't know this puddle of woman that is my normal wife. Because normally I'd ski during the middle of work and whatever. But in his wisdom, I really give him credit. He's like, quit. Like, take a break. You're in a state you know absolutely no one. Go find a farmer's market and volunteer. Like, just take some breathing space. And so I did. I Googled farmer's market. The Westport market showed up. I drove down here on a Thursday. A woman named Sherry Brooks Fenton, who became a friend, was running it. And I'm not going to lie, no disrespect to her, but the thing was in disarray.
Was this the one? Was it on Imperial,
it's on Imperial,
or was it at the Westport Playhouse?
It had left the Westport Playhouse, I believe, 2 years before. I think so. It was in the state where, as of that year, they were going to close it. Shelley and Gordon had decided that it really wasn't working out.
The select
woman and man. They had decided that they were going to close it because there was a lot of infighting. Their cops had been called, money had been taken. Like, there were some pretty, from what I understand, some nefarious things that were occurring. And anyhow, so I showed up. I asked if I could volunteer. I did. At the end of the day, I just remember, and this is nothing disrespect to Sherry, but they were just like hucking the chairs and the table into the storage unit. There was no organization. And you've known me long enough, like I just don't operate like that. Everything needs to be buttoned up pretty well. And so I said, could I organize this for you? Do you mind if I just stay an extra hour? I'll organize the whole thing. And then I said, could I come back next week? And she said, even better, I'll pay you $10 an hour. And Dan, when I tell you this, and I still mean it, and I literally physically feel it right now, I remember getting in my car and calling Nate, my husband, and saying, I just took a job. And he thought I was taking a job at Ogilvy in the city, which I had been kind of going in and flirting around with, determining if I want to go there. And he was like, oh, that's great. I can't believe you decided. And I was like, I'm going to make $60 a week on Thursdays. And he was like, what? And so I did. I started there. I got to know Rebecca Howe. I don't know if you remember her, but the fairy godmother in the market. I got to know Shelley. And then at the end of that season, then the season ended in September, and they came to me and said, would you be willing to take the market over? They knew people from Jackson. The people in Jackson had told them what I had done with the market out there. And my ego was at play. You want to know the truth? I was like, no, I really want that chief marketing officer gig. My friends are heading in that direction. I had this career path. I had all these new kids that I love, and my husband, and I don't know, my ego just was really in my way. And I said, well, give me a call at the first of the year and we'll make a decision. And Rebecca called me January 1st at 10 a.m. and said, can you make a decision? And I don't, to this day, I don't know what it was, but I said yes. I was like, let's do it. And so we actually pretty much started it on our credit cards. There was no money. And then I said, if we can start this, give me this. We will make this much money by this point. I'm going to structure the market. I had this huge 30-page PowerPoint and all these inflections that I was going to do and programs. And by the end of the next year, we had started the winter market, and I'd become buddies with Sal, and I was able to
Sal
Gilberti, cutest man ever. Was able to grab his belief and faith that, take a chance on us and let us come into that greenhouse, which typically closed all winter. And yeah, so there we go.
So you had a vision. What was your vision? You saw this place on Imperial Avenue.
Yeah.
You wanted it to be something more. What were you thinking of?
I'm thinking of how important community is to me, truthfully, and how much it's meant from my youth. I mean, I grew up going to a farmer's market every single Saturday with my mom. And So did my brother. She'd buy the baguette and the block of cheese and throw us in the back of the car. And this is before, seatbelts. So I vividly remember, she'd take a curve and we would slide across the leather seats, holding on to the bread and cheese, not willing to let go. And I know that that was my foundation. And I have found through different points of life, whether it be in school or here or even here. I mean, if you look back, and Jackson, when I have found myself personally a little lost or a little disconnected from community, I have gone to farmers markets and have found health and found community. So I think that's really what I wanted to create here, because this community was welcoming to me and I had to work to earn it, but it was welcoming. And I look at all the new families that are coming in now, and that's what I want for the market to be. I want it to be this authentic community spot that provides good health, positivity, inclusivity, and economic viability.
So how does
a lot for a farmer's market, right?
So yeah. Think of it.
You thought you were just getting tomatoes,
lettuce, lettuce and arugula. How does a community play into it? You've got people coming. They're they want their Swiss chard, or they want whatever they want. And where does the community come from? That's
a great question. I would say it starts with me. I mean, I think it has to start with the message that we put out, as I'm the voice of the market. I also think it starts with the curation of it, so that it's neat, it's organized, the vendors know to be welcoming. I mean, they're welcoming people, but if you put yourself in their shoes too, it's a little intimidating. They're walking in, they've put their heart and soul into this product. What if you don't like it? It's easy for you to walk up to a booth and just walk away, but that's something they love. They're not making millions out there. They're there for 4 hours. How much money can they really be making? And you're taking a chance on them and they're taking a chance on you. It's a little bit like a relation, build a budding relationship. But to your point on the community, I think I have to take a step back. And I think it is just all of us being willing to take a breath. And I always look at the new people who start shopping a farmer's market. They come in, they always get a baguette. If you're new, I know you're buying a baguette. If you got a baguette, we know you're a newbie. Not that baguettes are bad. And then as it progresses, their bags get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then by the end of the season, they're returning to their cars 2 and 3 times, just shaking their head thinking, what am I going to do with all this food? But I just can't turn it away. And you and I are both sports people. So it's a little bit like, I always equate it to JV. You're just you want to be on the team and you got to earn your way in. And it's you start shopping a farmer's market, you don't really know where to go, who to talk to, you haven't made your friends yet. So it's you're just trying out for that JV squad. And you get on it and then you find yourself in the same line with the same person, and that's your buddy. And all of a sudden you're having lunch with that buddy. And that buddy's got the star position on the varsity team. So they're pulling you up and you're practicing and you're coming. So you end up with this all-star varsity squad that is inclusive, that is, that just is welcoming. And we really do encourage our shoppers. I don't know if you read our newsletter or any of our social media, but I'm always encouraging our shoppers to welcome other people. Make sure if you see somebody a little lost, ask them where they're going, what they need, show them your favorite thing. And they do. It's kind of cool. Who does that for you in a grocery store?
At Stop and Shop, the little robot that's cleaning the floor that runs into you. Who shops there? Who are the? Is there a typical Westport Farmers Market shopper?
Well, there totally is. But I have to point out what I think is the coolest first, and then we'll go to all the typicals, which is still cool. How many young kids are shopping there right now? How many of the high schoolers take their lunch to come get lunch there? I mean, they hustle over. A lot of times now they have the cell phones of the lunch guys, so they're pre-ordering. Their moms are sending them with grocery lists. So that to me has been my dream. I actually remember at first when I started this, I didn't start it, but other people started it. But when I kicked off, I I was like, young people are going to be shopping here. High schoolers are going to be shopping here. You wait and see. The 20-somethings are going to be here. And everyone's like, no, no way, no way. Well, they're there, which to me, I love. And the typical person that's shopping, no surprise. It's changed a lot since COVID, but it used to be heavy, heavy female. I would say we were 80-20 female to male. And that has evened out. We're definitely more 60-40 now. I love seeing all the guys shopping there. I mean, it is just, they're so fun. They're totally in the community. They know so much about food. And I love seeing that the dynamic of men taking care of themselves has changed in this country. It's no longer cool to be totally exhausted and working 80 hours a week and not with your family. That's not cool anymore. And companies don't even like it. So it's really nice to see. So what's the demographic? We have a heavy Greenwich crowd. We have Darien, Norwalk. The young people from Norwalk are flooding in. We have New Haven. We have like 6 ladies from New Haven that come every week, meet, and have lunch there. Now, the one thing that has changed since COVID, and I probably shouldn't admit this, and hopefully the chief is not listening to this, and if he does, he plugs his ears. But prior to COVID, when we had all the dining right in the middle, we would have bottles and bottles of wine at the end of it. Not that we gave, but the people would bring wine and sit and have lunch there. It was the funniest thing. That hasn't happened since. That's changed. But
vendors. Is there a typical vendor?
So we are accredited to having the strictest guidelines in the state. I'm currently trying to create a statewide farmers market association with the hope that we are going to implement guidelines throughout the state. And what that means, the typical vendor for us, all of our farmers, they're inspected. None of them are using chemicals that are considered non-organic. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We have 11 farmers currently, and out of the 11 farmers, 8 are certified organic. And then all of our other prepared food vendors have to source a minimum of 1 locally farmed ingredient in each item. So every single thing they sell, they submit to me with their local ingredient in it. We check invoices. I go see kitchens. But we are a bit of an incubator for small businesses. But I really feel like my word means a lot. And if I tell you that you walk through that door, or parking lot or whatever, and that you're going to get healthy food, I'm not going to let you down. It means a lot to get my word.
Success story. Are there 1 or 2 vendors you look at them and you say, wow, this is why we do what we do?
Well, most recently is Pierre Luigi from Fado Amano. I know, I've just that smile on your face.
I wrote about him this morning.
You did. Well, he is a gem of gems. If you haven't, you've met, so you interviewed him then, I'm assuming, and what a gem. He was just accredited as Baker of the Year, as you know, but he's an immigrant. He's been here for 3 years. He makes a beautiful product. He came to me about 2 years ago.
Italian breads and pastries.
Italian breads and pastries, and created in an old style. So everything down to the last ingredient is so important to him. He is not skimping on a single ingredient, and you can taste it. You can tell by the lines that are waiting to line up for him. And to me, that would be it. I mean, he's been very kind. When he got his award, he stood up and thanked me and said that, you've been the one to give me a chance. You've helped me along. We've encouraged him to get a commercial kitchen, to get out of his home kitchen so his wife doesn't kill him. But he's a beautiful story. And I think he's a really great example. Who else could we have so many people. Herbal Diva, we encouraged her to get her farm license of what's called a 490A and start growing her own herbs, which she's done. And I think anytime we can transition someone into a self-reliant and a farmer, that's incredibly important. Gosh, we typically have a whole list of them where people send us stuff. And Nitnoy Provisions, North has given us credit for saying, hey, you've really encouraged us to move along and have allowed us to expand and figure out. And I meet with these guys all the time. Anytime they have a question, we'll meet. And our board will help them as well. So that's a really nice resource.
There are vendors there who you might not associate with a farmer's market, like dog food.
Yeah.
Taco truck.
Yeah.
Are these?
Oh,
How, how do they fit into a farmer's market?
Well, you know what? First of all, love that question because a farmer's market is supposed to be the foundation is farmers. And then from there, you can grow. Not many farmers markets operate under that what's the word I'm thinking of? Sorry, I got a cold and I'm on cold meds. So words are escaping me a little bit. But the dog food vendor, Paul's Custom Pet Food, hats off to him. He is sourcing 90% from local farms. His product is curated from local farms. And he's amazing. His food's amazing. And my cats, dogs, everyone loves it.
You haven't tried it.
I have not tried it, but we could eat it. It's food grade. Like everything he sells is food grade that if you opened up and you're at your house and the thing falls on the floor and your 3-year-old ate it, they're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Now, there are not many dog foods or cat foods that you could say that about. And then the taco truck, that's Boxcar Cantina. Nancy Roper started it. All of her recipes, they support local farms heavily. Their corn that they're making their shells and chips out of it was Hudson Valley, but I think that they've had to transition a little further south, but it's non-GMO. We're heavy non-GMO at the market.
Any idea you've had or something you've wanted to bring in that has failed?
Oh, lots. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many. Are you kidding? I feel like we're always throwing something at the wall trying to figure it out. You know, for our programming and things, our biggest thing is just trying to, I kind of go by the sense of like, maybe it's how I was raised, but if we can impact people intimately on a small level, then that is strong impact for us. And I look in awe at people like Michelle Nishon who are impacting people on a large scale. I tend to do better in a smaller zone, but we've thrown some programs at the wall that have fallen apart pretty easily. You know, we really work really closely with the Gillespie Center, and we tried to staff the residents there as to carry grocery bags to cars. That was, you know, I thought, oh, we're going to give them employment. This is going to be great. People will pay them. Maybe people will tip them. That really went south. That did not go well. What else have we done? Oh, we've got some big ones. Yeah. I was like, you're bringing nightmares. Like, recently, we thought we were going to do the Penske eggs for Ukraine to raise money. I got to talk to you about that after this. But to help Mark do some stuff for Ukraine and raise money. And no, that didn't work out either.
Okay. But you're trying.
We're trying. I mean, the majority of our programs are doing really well.
So in addition to the farmers market, one of your passions is food insecurity.
Yes.
You want to talk about that? What it is and how it impacts this area and what you're doing? Yeah,
you know, I think for the market, you know, if you look at our programming, we have multiple programs that are focused on the farmer first. And I think I have to say that very adamantly that every single thing we do starts with the farmer. And something that's of concern to me and that I've been working on a state level this past year is that the farmer's not really being considered. We are heavily focused on food insecurity, as we should be. But the reliance on farmers feeding those that are food insecure has increased. However, in the state and nationally, we are at our largest level of farmers being on food insecure programs. Now, we are asking farmers to donate and help feed food insecure people, but our funding, national funding, is not supporting agriculture enough to keep the people that are feeding the food insecure afloat. So you start to look at the nutrition component of that. What happens is the Nabiscos, the Kellogg's, the whatever all the crappy companies are, sorry that I just called them crappy companies, they do a lot of good too.
Large companies.
Large companies, and they're not crappy, but the lack of nutritional food then becomes more prevalent within food insecure individuals. And that to me is probably becoming my biggest concern, if you want to know the truth, because if you look at, let's look at COVID funding, and then I'm going to answer your question because I'm on a squirrel. If you look at the COVID funding, and I'm all for the funding that the restaurants got, I advocated heavily for it. I'm so glad they employ so many people, they do so much good, all that. They got 3 times as much funding as agriculture did in the state during COVID. And in large part because they had strong lobbyists and advocates on the state level where agriculture does not at the moment. And that's a problem that so you want to talk about food insecurity? It really matters to me. I am incredibly involved in it, from Gillespie to Homes for the Brave to Bridgeport Rescue Mission to Food Rescue. And I think in Bridgeport, I think there's so much we can do, but unless we start to really focus on farmers and ensuring that they're getting paid a living wage and that their food is being purchased, we have a much bigger food insecurity problem coming down the pipeline.
I had never thought of that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned nonprofits.
Yes.
And that is also a large part of the farmers market as well, right? Working with nonprofits.
To me, yes. I think you go back to the term community. You walk into this, especially Westport, Fairfield County, we have some really dynamic nonprofits, in my humble opinion. And the more we all work together, the stronger we are. I don't really believe that, I don't believe a nonprofit is my competitor. I think that there's just kind of that mindset of we're all out here to do some good, and the more we work together, and we have a beautiful platform, so I'd really love to be able to I share that platform, and then in turn, hopefully people share our message and support us. But I think it's just a service that we can provide.
And any nonprofits that stand out to you as great partners with the market?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, a lot of them. Homes with Hope. We're decades in on with those guys. Bridgeport, recently Food Rescue has jumped in. They've been great. Bridgeport Rescue Mission, I mean, I have loved working with them. Homes for the Brave, that's near and dear. My husband's a veteran. We currently work with the female home there, and that is one of the most touching and endearing programs we've ever done. And Sunrise Rotary's cool. I mean, that kind of goes on and on. Yeah, those would be my top.
Great.
Probably. I could keep going on that one.
Just a couple more. It's winter. Winter Farmers Market. You want to give a plug for that?
Yeah, because it's hopping. It's really hopping. Hopping so much that we had to hire a parking company because people are coming, and it's so cool and amazing, and we're really grateful. We operate till March 9th, and
Thursday.
We are on Thursdays 10 to 2. Before anybody gets fluffed, we do assess it every year about going back to Saturdays. Our vendors are having the same problem that everyone else in the nation is having of staffing. And so until they can have staff to staff a Saturday market, we have to operate within Thursdays during the winter. But we will keep analyzing that. But it is Thursdays 10 to 2 to March 9th. We will open back up May 11th, if anybody wants to know. But right now we have a lecture series until the first week of February. We have a big drive happening the first 2 weeks of February for Ukraine, where we would love coats and rain gear. And then we have some other fun things coming down the pipeline. But we're 3 greenhouses. It's warm. It's heated. Food trucks, coffee trucks.
At Gilberti's Herbs and Garden Center on Sylvan Lane.
Yes, with a 101-year-old lemon tree that's been in the same place that entire time.
So the last question, it's a variation of one I've asked guests before. President Biden comes to the Westport Farmers Market. Yeah. His staff says he only has time to visit 3 vendors. He wants to see the market. He wants to see a variety. Where do you take him?
That's cool. Make that happen for me.
I will.
Okay. I love that.
I'll call Joe.
You call Joe. Great. I wouldn't mind Biden. Obama. That's what I was thinking. That'd be cool too. I would take him to Fort Hill Farm. I think they are one of the best farmers I have been around. Incredibly well-spoken, beautiful product, highlight of our state. I would take them.
What do they sell?
They are a produce farm.
Okay.
Organic produce farm. I would take them to, oh my gosh, this is hard. You're like making me choose, like, what's my favorite child? Fort Hill. I would show him the lemon tree because I think that's amazing if we were in the winter market. 3, you're such a booger on this one. I'd probably take him to Nitnoy because I think what he's doing is amazing, and I'd take him to Fado Amano for sure because I believe that's the American story, and there are a couple female-owned companies that are in there that have really hustled and have come from some things that show what the grit and ingenuity and the freedom this country allows us can do. So those are. I'd have a lot. He'd have to stay all day. Actually,
He's an ice cream guy too. He likes his ice
we
cream.
got ice pop. There you go. We got ice pops. I'll make ice cream. How's that?
There you go. Lori Cochran, the executive director of the Westport Farmers Market. This has been a great, instructive, and hunger-making chat. I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Farmers Market every Thursday, winter, spring, summer, fall. Be there.